Good morning, everybody.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Brother Andy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Andy, how you doing, my brother?
You know
Morning,
what?
everybody.
I'm blessed. Good morning.
Morning, everybody else across the Caribbean, Dominica, Jamaica, East. Calvin, my brother, how you doing?
Morning, am I good?
No see your face now, brother. Long time no see. What going on? Hey, that what we talk about.
Giving thanks.
Grace and peace.
Hi, good morning, good morning. Grace and peace be multiplied to all of you from God the Father and from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And we welcome each and every one of you to this mentorship training. We want to say a special welcome to the District Superintendent of the Jamaica East District, Reverend Ronald Gray, the District Superintendent of Dominica, Reverend Pascal Hilton, and our own District Superintendent of Trinidad and Tobago District, Reverend Dr. Victor George. To all the pastors, district heads, heads of local departments, and your respective leaders, I want to say a special welcome to each and to every one of you. We especially want to take this moment to extend our deepest and dearest condolences to Reverend Pascal Hilton and his family, who unfortunately lost his son Len yesterday. Our prayers and our thoughts are with you during this season. So we just want to open our word of prayer as we begin this leadership training. So Father, this morning we recognize your sovereignty. We recognize that you are great and you are greatly to be praised. Morning by morning, new mercies we have seen. Great has been your faithfulness, O God. And Father, this morning, oh God, we know that we can trust in your immutability. We can trust in your consistency because this is who you are. And Father, today, as we commence this leadership training and this mentorship training, oh God, we pray that God, you will open up our minds, open up our hearts to be receptive to whatever you have to impart unto us this morning. I pray that you will touch the facilitator, Reverend Walsh, even as he would teach and even as he would, open up the word of God and convey truths from your word. That God, you will give him the eloquence, you'll give him the articulation, you'll give him the wisdom from on high. And so God, this morning, we just especially want to take a special time out to pray for Pastor Hilton and his family during this season of bereavement and anguish. So God, we pray that your hand of comfort will be upon them. Your word declares the God of all comfort shall be with us. The Holy Spirit shall be our comforter. So Holy Spirit, we pray that you will visit that home and all those who are affected by the loss, that you will touch them and God, you will strengthen them even in this hour of bereavement and anguish. And Daddy, we give you thanks and we give you praise at the end of this session, that God, we will be not just only receiving information, but God, there will be transformation in our lives. We give you thanks, glory, honor, and praise. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen and amen. So this morning we have a very esteemed, distinguished young man with us. His name is Reverend Calvin Walsh. And by profession, he is a physical education teacher and a lover of sports. I only hope he's a Barca fan and a West Indies fan, right? He was called into youth ministry in the year 2002 and purposed to equip himself for the work, and by attending the Caribbean Nazarene College in 2011. There he graduated with a degree in theology and psychology and counseling. It was at this institution he met his lovely wife, Donna, and they both served at the March Pen Road Church of the Nazarene, Jamaica. God answered their prayers and blessed them with their daughter, Elena. In 2015, Pastor Walsh was elected to the East District NYI president, and he has been leading the youths for over 7 years. So this morning it's my esteemed privilege to present you Reverend Walsh as he would be the facilitator for today. So Reverend Walsh, all over to you. God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, S. Good morning, everyone. I trust that we are in the best of health this morning. You know, in spite of everything that is happening around us, God is still worthy to be praised. Amen. You know, the scripture said that in all things we are to give thanks. So this morning, as I share with you, I trust that you will all benefit from the presentation this morning. It's very important also that you have your participant manual with you, as we will be using it a lot this morning. We will be using our manual a lot this morning, right, to share, right? So you have to follow closely in your manual as we share. But before I go into the presentation, it's always good to highlight the objective, what we hope to achieve by the end of the session. So this morning we'll be going into 2 sessions, but in session 1, I'm just going to give you the objective, what we hope for session 1. And then when we come to session 2, I'll give you the objectives that we hope to achieve for session 2. All right. So in session 1, we are looking at mentoring the pathway, right? The mentoring pathway. And when people want to mentor others towards ministry leadership, often the potential mentors, they do not know how to advance because they don't have a clear idea of the steps that he or she should take, right? So at the end of session 1 today, what we hope to achieve is that we want to celebrate you. We want to celebrate your colleagues and the things that they are doing well in the process of mentoring others towards leadership, right? The second thing that we want to do, we want to consider what Jesus did to lead others along the mentorship pathway. And we want to discuss the steps of the mentoring pathway, right? And we want to specify the next step that you want to take to progress on the mentoring pathway, right? So we're checking in today, right? We're checking in, right? So this is the 4th session. This is the 4th session. And it's dedicated to creating a culture of mentoring among Nazarene leaders, right? But before we dive into the topic for today, which is Jesus, our model of relational ministry and mentorship, we want to check in with you about how things are going for you as you intentionally mentor others towards ministry. You know, the fact that we are all on this, it means that almost everybody here is in some form of leadership position. You know, you're playing a role in terms of leadership. So what we really want to do is to find out what is it that you're really doing as it relates to mentoring, right? So that is the whole purpose of what we are about to do. So on page 3 in your manual, right, there are some questions, and we're going to take 5 minutes to write down these questions, the answer to these questions as we check in, right? So the question is, what are you doing well in terms of mentoring towards ministry leadership? Where do you need help? Or what is it that you think, you know, what is something that you feel you can do differently, right? And what has been encouraging you in this process, all right? So if you turn to page 3 in your manual, you will see these questions, right? And I want you to take 5 minutes and just begin to answer them. What are you doing well in terms of mentoring others towards ministry leadership? Where do you need help? Or what is something that you feel you could do or you should do differently? And what has been encouraging for you in this process? So as you go ahead and you start answering those questions, the next thing that we're going to do, Brother Andy, he's going to put us into groups. But before we go into the groups, let me just explain, right? We are going to go into breakout groups, right? Into small groups, where we want each person to share one thing that you have done well in mentoring someone towards leadership in the past month or since we have started this impact mentorship training, right? It is very important that we assess or we reflect, right? And I can tell you as a coach, I don't just get up every day and I go out there and coach, right? At the end of every training session, I have to reflect. Was my objective achieved? You know, is the program going towards the expected end? So it's very important that we reflect, we assess, and we see if we are actually achieving the set goals. All right. So in your small group, right, you're going to share your name, where you are located now, where you serve, and one thing that you have done well in mentoring someone towards leadership in the past month or since we have started the training. All right. So again, in your small groups, you're gonna tell your name, where you are located now, where you serve, and one thing you have done well in mentoring others towards leadership in the past month or since the program have started. All right, so keep these things in mind as we move into our small groups. And I'm going to ask Brother Andy if you will just take us into our small groups where we'll spend 20 minutes and look at these things.
Thanks, Pastor Calvin. You said 20 minutes, correct?
Right, 20.
Okay, no problem. Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm going to put you guys into the small groups now. Please note that we have been doing this for a while. So someone just start to lead the group and just be a natural leader and take over in your group. There are no assigned leaders this morning. So just get it flowing and we'll use the time wisely. If you have any difficulties getting in the group, do not panic. As soon as we open the groups, I will be around to make sure that everybody gets in the group. When the group is open, accept the invitation and you could go into the group. I am going to open the groups right now. Do have a good time. Please go ahead and join the group if you're having any difficulties. I'll get around to you shortly. Quite a few people have not joined us yet. Hey, O'Shane, how?
I trust that you will have enjoyed that session where you get to talk, you get to share, and you get to see what God is doing through your colleagues, in ministry, right? So that's good. What we're gonna do now as we come back in our large group, we want to give persons the opportunity, right? We want to give you the privilege to share what God has been doing in the lives of your brothers and your sister, right? So we want to take about 4 persons, right? And you're going to share what someone in your group has shared that they have done well, right? So remember now, this time is not about you. This is the part where we are celebrating others, right? So we want 3 or 4 persons to just open your mic quickly, and you're going to share with us, something that one of your colleagues has shared that, they have been doing and they have done it well, and what God has been doing through them. All right, so 4 persons, I give you the opportunity now to just share.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Bunsey from Trinidad. So one of our colleagues mentioned the value of creating a relational environment. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Rev, for that. Someone else.
Good morning, Trudy here.
Morning, Chidi.
I just want to emphasize the point that a sister spoke about impacting even while not being intentional, and I think that was very, important that we impact people with our lives even when we are not intentionally doing it.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's leading by example. Yes, Rev.
Pastor Calvin, Ryan Williams, Sudan, Tobago. I sat in a group, and one of the pastors in our group, Reverend Anna, spoke about a model he uses at the church called the incarnational model, where incarnational ministry model, where he and his wife intentionally develop and mentor future leaders. And what he shared with us, I found to be quite a remarkable thing. He said that the raised up several ministers, about 4 of whom are actually senior pastors on our district, and several have licensed went on to acquire their district licensed ministry. And this has happened over a space of about 10 years. And it's studied, and I found that to be very, very deep and meaningful, what the Lord is using him and his wife to do at the church.
Amen. Thank you for sharing that, and that's so important, especially in this time where we need persons to be, they're leading and taking on ministry roles. So we can take one more. Who will be our final person to share with us?
So in my group, and can we call the person's name?
I guess yes.
All right. So I want to celebrate Sister Okima Watson from Green Acres. She is using compassionate ministry to share, and because she's been compassionate, she has now had the opportunity to share the gospel with somebody who is hearing impaired. And I think that's just awesome. It wasn't that she was trying to witness, but because of her, has now asked her to tell her more about the Bible, and now she's able to mentor that person. So I'm really, really proud of her.
Thank you. So one other thing that I want us to get, that when we went into the breakout room and we asked Curtis to share, we are not trying to make anybody feel uncomfortable, neither were we trying to expose anybody to say, oh, so you're not doing or you're doing, right? The purpose for sharing is that mentoring is like coaching. And like I said, I've been coaching for the past 19 years. And as a coach or as a mentor, it's very important that we assess. it's always important to look back. And sometimes when you share with each other, you get an idea to say, oh, wow, this I was not doing, or I've been achieving this. And also in sharing, you get to learn best practices. You're able to pass on best practices. You're able to adapt something that might work in your setting, right? So I thank you for sharing, and thank you for being honest and open. All right. We're going to use our manual again as we look at the mentoring pathway, right? We're looking now at the mentoring pathway, right? And I'm going to ask someone if you could just read for us, read for us the in-depth youth ministry that is written by Otis Annette Golick, right? Could someone just please have a volunteer to read for me? It's page 4 in your manual. Talks about have someone roots in depth in youth ministry.
I'll read, Pastor Walsh.
Thank you.
Who should read? There is a vast difference between delegating responsibility and forming leaders. As we mentor people towards ministry leadership, we must remember that just because we have given someone a role or a responsibility doesn't mean they have the capacity, either in terms of the personal maturity or the skills to carry out that responsibility well. For example, to make someone the leader of a small group doesn't mean they have the capacity to lead the group in a way that is healthy or helpful to the participants. Our churches don't need positions filled. We need people who reflect the image of Christ and have the practical abilities to lead well.
So I'm just going to take 30 seconds to let that soak in, right? And when I read it, my mind just went back. There's a difference between delegating responsibility and forming leaders. And oftentimes, well, let me say not often, many times we find the church being guilty in this aspect where we mix it up and we delegate, and we think that because we are delegating, we are creating leaders. And many times I see it even in NYI, where we have youth presidents who are clueless. They have never been in NYI before. Sometimes they are new to the church, and because, hey, we think that this person can lead, we just throw them into the deep sea and say, hey, I want you to lead NYI. But many times what happens is that it does more harm than good. And I can tell you this, that not because the person has the ability, and not because the person is the best player on your team, it doesn't mean that this person is the most suitable person to lead. And I'll give you an example. Some years ago, while I was coaching the cricket team, I have a youth on my team who could have easily played on the national team. He was the best player we have. But him being the best player, a lot of the persons on the team thought that he would have been the captain of the team. But the thing about it is that I did not appoint him as the captain of the team, because guess what? Even though he's the best player on the team, even though he's able to bat well and field well and wicket keep well, it doesn't mean that he's the best person to lead the team, because what happened is that he had a temperament, he had this attitude, his temper is very short. So he don't have that patience, he don't have that leadership skill where he's able on the field of play to get the youths together, to motivate them, to lift them if things are going right. So to give him the captain, what I would have been doing, I would have been causing more harm to the team than good, right? So I agree with this very much. That says, not because the person may have the ability, it doesn't mean that this person is the best person to lead the team, right? So what we don't want people to fill positions. I didn't just want someone to fill the position as captain of the team. No, I want someone who was able to lead the team. When you're on the field of play, if things not going well, you are supposed to be able to gather that respect. You're able to command, you're able to motivate, you're able to, come on guys, let's go again. You know, that's the type of person that would be more suitable to lead our team. I can take about a few persons. Let me hear, what are your thoughts based on what was read?
I like the last sentence there. I think I commented on the fact that it's very potent. From my experience, good morning, sorry. From my experience in being in the church in Nazarene, I've seen that happen time and time again to the detriment of the ministry or a particular department, in that we may not have a position, we may have a position that is vacant, and we thrust people into the position just because we want to fill it. And most times it would not lend to the development of the ministry itself in a way that would make us accomplish what Jesus wants us to accomplish. There are times when it works, you know, that you trust a person there, and that comes from more insight, just like Jesus did. You understand? It has to be insightful, not just filling a position. And so that's something that even as we think about going forward and being successful as a church, that we seriously have to consider.
Thank you, Rev.
Welcome.
Yeah, Pastor. In connection with that, one of the things in church circles I don't like to use is that word position, filling positions. Rather, we fill ministries. And so we look at that. It's easy to put somebody in a position, but when coming to ministry, they must have the qualifications or the experience to fill that, in order to follow through with what they are being placed in. And so careful consideration ought to be given, and not just put people randomly in places to say, I have filled the area of ministry or post that is required to be filled, but rather come in with a level of experience, though they may not be fully qualified. Nevertheless, they have good experience, practical experience, that just like what you were using with the cricket team, and we need to know that they are very quick, and we see certain things in people, and because of that, we place them there only to realize, it should not have been done. And so we need to be very, very careful about these things, prayerful about it, in placing people in these areas, because it will cause more harm than good.
And I just said that one of the things that jump at me is that even sometimes what we do, we turn off people from ministry. So persons don't want to serve because, like, here am I learning, here am I trying to understand, and then you just throw me. And sometimes when we throw them out or we appoint them, the appointment is not so bad enough, but it's the fact that many times there's no one there to hold their hands and walk them through the process. Because if you see the potential and you place the person there, that's cool. But don't just put them there and leave them. You understand? We have to walk them through the process, so that, because not walking that person through the process, what we basically will be doing then is filling a position. And then maybe, as Reverend Dexter said earlier, the department mash up. It's done away with. So we end up causing more harm than good. We could take one more.
I'd just like to add, Alicia Batiste, Trinidad District. You are right, and many times you see it, even for myself early in the pastorate, because you need people to fill positions. If someone is faithful in, let's say, cutting the lawn, cutting the yard, taking care of the church in itself, the external church, you believe that they should be on the church board. When in truth and in fact, not because they are functioning in that area means that they have what it takes to sit on the church board to make decisions on behalf of all the congregations and stuff. So it is very much appreciated what was said in terms of sometimes it could be to the detriment of the department of the church, and so I'm fully in agreement with it. You know, it's more than what meets the eye. And we also have to look at the spiritual maturity and so many other aspects of an individual before, you know.
Very important. Thank you, Alicia. And it's nice seeing you. Been a while. All right. So we're going to move on and we're going to go into mentoring the pathway, right? So we're going to look at the models that is there. And the first one that we are looking at, it says, be a model of what you seek. Be a model of what you seek. So there are two sides to ministry leadership, right? Who you are as a person and disciple of Jesus, which talks about your character, and what you do in leadership role. So we're talking now about your skills and your ability. So what is important is if you're going to be a model for what you seek, it's very, very important that we lead by example. And the best example that you can give is being the example, right? So, and you keep hearing me referring to myself as a coach, right? Because I like to use what works for me, right? As a coach, I demanded certain things from my players, right? Because I'm mentoring them, I'm grooming them to be the best cricketers that they can be. And what I realized is that sometimes as a coach, I may talk, I may explain, I may go on the board and draw because persons have different learning styles. But many times I realize you may be talking and explaining something to somebody, but while talking and explaining, the picture that they are getting in their head is totally different from what you're saying. So what I recognize is that if I want them to do a particular, let's say play a particular stroke or kick the ball a particular way, sometimes as a coach, I have to go there and show them exactly what is it that I want you to do so that they can see and they can mimic it and practice. Understand? So as leaders, yes, it's good to say, it's good to talk, but the best way to get it done is to lead by example. So if you want your mentee to be someone who loves the word of God, you have to be someone who loves the word of God. If you want your mentee to be someone who always praying, you have to be someone who's always praying. If you want your mentee to be disciplined and be someone who's always on time, you have to be disciplined. You have to be on time. So you have to be that which you want your mentee to be, right? And Jesus was a model of character and values. He expected his disciples to have, and also he modeled what he wanted them to do. So Jesus was our best example. Jesus didn't just tell his disciples, do this, do that. Jesus modeled it. He showed them that which he wants them to do. Amen? The second one that we're going to look at is have contact with a wide variety of people. Have contact with a wide variety of people. Jesus was in a small town and large cities. He was in the synagogues and the temple and the intellectuals and the people of religious authority. But guess what? He also spent time with sinners, with the fishermen, with children, with ordinary people, right? We see him with both men and women. And as we talk about have contact with a wide variety, for me, I'm saying that if we're going to do ministry, we need to get in people's space, get in the space of people, know your community, know who are the people who you're serving, because it would be sad for us as leaders and as a church, we exist in our community and nobody don't know who we are. Because guess what? When we go into church, We see the guys I'm on the corner gambling and smoking, and we just turn up a face and say, chop, they can't find something better to do. All they do is get up every day and sit on the street side. But guess what we do? We drive past them, and we didn't stop to invite them even to church. You're the pastor, and nobody in the community know who you are. You're the NMI president, but yet still people in the community don't know you. And that can't be good. So we have to have contact. We have to know the people. So you have certain things happening in the community. Hey, you know who to go. The church may have a leak. Hey, come on. Who is the plumber in the community that you can go and call to come and fix the church? Who's the electrician in the community? So it's very important that as a church, you get to know people. And one of the things that I'm learning, even as I do my own pastoring, is that when we get community people involved in kingdom building, it's much easier to witness to them. It's much easier to have them become a part of the church. Amen. So to follow Jesus' example, we must have a large pool of people where we are in contact with, and we can draw from the people we need to mentor, right? From many different backgrounds and contexts and strengths. So we don't just only seek to mentor those who we think are intellectual or who are bright and who look a particular way, right? The simple little guy that we think, oh, he's just a gang leader, trust me, they sometimes are the most influential people, right? So if we know our people, we will know, say, all right, these are the influential people. These are the people we need to win. These are the people we need to get in our space. These are the people we need to have in relationship with Jesus, because they can help us reach the many who are unchurched. All right. The third thing that we need to do in the mentorship pathway is we need to pray. Prayer. Jesus was in continual communion with his Father. But before he appointed his 12 disciples, he spent the night in prayer, right? We recommend that you pray with these specific things. One, pray for discernment about who to select. So we don't just get up and say, you come, you come, you come. Pray, seek God, Lord, who are the people that you would want me to mentor, right? And as you pray and you ask God to give you that discerning spirit as to who to mentor, the second thing you would do now is pray for confirmation in their hearts. So you pray that God will, touch their hearts, confirm that which you're showing me, Lord. So it means that once you go and you start talking to these persons, the connection become easy, because guess what? They will have gotten that nudge from the Holy Spirit to say, this is what I want you to do. Amen. The fourth thing that you're going to do, you're going to select and invite a few people, right? Good qualifications, 1 Timothy 3 and 1 Timothy 2:2, right? So basically what we're saying is use able people, use able people. I almost say use available people, but not because the person is available doesn't mean that they're able, right? So it's very important that we use able, spiritually mature persons, right? So these are persons that you're going to draw on, persons who are thing, right? So it's not a friend thing. It's not, oh, because I like you, I'm going to bring you. No, you want, because we're doing something that is meaningful, something that is impactful. And that is what you hope to achieve, right? So it's good that you choose person with good qualification, right? Poor qualification, friendship, and request from someone else, avoid some of those mistakes, right? The fifth thing that we do in the pathway is make their personal and ministerial development a top priority for your ministry, right? Make their personal ministerial development a top priority for your ministry, right? So you want to develop a personal, authentic relationship with them. Develop a personal, authentic relationship with them. And I could say Reverend Bunzi has boy, he has been doing this. I've seen it. I don't just listen to what people say. I've seen how he had developed this authentic relationship with people, because I myself has been impacted by it, you know. And you have to be intentional. Let them get to know you. Let people get to know you. Don't put on this thing. One of the things that I love about youth camp is that when I go to youth camp, I can wear my shorts, my t-shirt, my slippers, my sneakers. I can go and kick football. I can run up and down with them, because guess what? They see you in a different light. They don't see you now as the pastor or the NY president or the NMI president. They see you as a friend. They see you as someone who is playing with you. They see you as someone who can come down from up top and come down to their level and interact with them. So let your mentee get to know you, right? Intentionally get to know them. And that's one of the easiest ways to get to know them. Get into their space, come down to their level, right? Because that's how you build trust. That's how you build trust. I remember some years ago, I was teaching in the high school, and there was this class that they consider a bad class. No teacher don't want to go to that class because these kids were terrible. And I remember the principal called me and said, Mr. Walsh, I need you to go to this class. My first year in teaching, and they're sending me to a fourth form, a standard 4 class, to be a form teacher with these guys who different backgrounds and everything. Fairly young teacher. And one of the things that when I went to the class, I realized that there was this block. The kids were very defensive because guess what? They have the stigma that nobody likes them. And I recognize that what I used to do now, I don't eat lunch in the staff room. I would take my lunchtime and I would go and I would sit in the class with them. I would play money football with them on the decks. I would play domino with them on the decks. But the thing about it is that those things are not allowed. They shouldn't be playing those things in the class. But I'm saying, this is what they do. They do it every lunchtime. So I went and I play, and they start gather around me and watch me, and somebody start cheering for me. So eventually now I recognize that I have gained their trust. So what I start to do now, I start to implement the rules. Guys, by right, we shouldn't be doing this. What if someone, and eventually by the end of the term, I was able to get them to where they are supposed to be. Because guess what? They get to know me, I get to know them. And it wasn't by chance. I was intentional about it. You understand? And as mentors, that are things that we have to do. We have to be intentional. If people get to know you, if they see who you are, then they will drop their guards. And that's how we build trust. All right? The other thing we have to do, we have to pray for them. Pray for them. Pray for them night, day. Pray. Be honest, right? Be honest. Be consistent. Be that model, be that guide for them. Consistency is key, right? Accompany them spiritually. Walk with them. Don't just tell them do this. Walk with them through the spiritual journey, right? And then you have to create a small group of developing leaders. Meet with them. You can do it regularly for a specific period of time. You can meet with them once per week for an entire year. But, create that space where we get to meet with your mentees and develop that relationship with them. All right? We move to the 6th step. And the 6th one is delegate responsibility gradually and progressively, right? It's very important when we give an instruction, give clear instruction. Don't make it become ambiguous. Give clear instructions. Try and keep it as simple as possible, right? Don't let the instruction be above the head, right? Give clear instruction. Make sure they have everything they need to carry out their responsibility, right? Make sure they have everything to carry out their responsibility. Lovingly keep them accountable through coaching and a feedback loop. So watch it. In my church, what I do is when we have our meeting, I'll say to the board, listen, we're going to allocate X amount of money to each department for the year, right? Every department is responsible with the money that was given to them. You have now the opportunity to go make more on it to do what you need to do. But if you finish it, then you're on your own because you were not responsible, right? So what we do is we give them the opportunity, we give clear instruction. This is what we expect you to do as leaders. You understand? This is what we expect you to do as leaders, right? We make sure we give them the tools. So we don't just tell them, go and lead the department. We give them the necessary tools for them to lead, right? And then we lovingly say, come on, you have to be accountable. So if you spend this, make sure the treasurer get the receipt, give us feedback, walk them through, coach them through so that they can develop and become the leader that we want them to be. So we don't just throw everything. We do it gradually, step by step. We take them through. All right. And the seventh and final step is that we recruit new people to mentor or support the people you have mentored as they mentor others. So we're not mentoring to have someone being, say we mentor someone for the rest of our life. No, the aim is mentor someone so that they can become a mentor. And it's the same principle with discipleship. We disciple someone until the disciplee become a discipler, right? So we need to mentor the mentee until the mentee become a mentor. And at the same time, we still can give guidance to the mentee who is now a mentor as they mentor someone, right? So that's the idea, that's the principle of what we want, right? When we talk about recruit other people to have them mentor as they mentor others, right? So we want it to be an ongoing process. And if we do this as a church, then we don't have to worry 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the road if the church will continue to grow. Because guess what? The training continues. The training continues. So it's a cycle. It keeps going, right? Until we achieve victory. All right. So page 6 in your manual talks about challenge personalizing the mentoring pathway, right? So what I want you to do, you're going to write your name next to the steps in the mentoring pathway you feel best represents you, where you are on your path as a mentor. So go to page 6, and I want you to write your name to write your name next to the step in the mentoring pathway you feel best represents you, where you are as a mentor, right? Then you're going to write the names of specific people next to the step in the pathway where you are in your mentoring relationship with them, right? And after you have done that, I want you to specify the next step you need to take to advance along the mentoring pathway, right? But you're going to do it with a timeline when you want to do it. So put timeline. It's very important that we have timeline as to when you want to achieve your goal, all right? And also, there are some bars that represents how well you are doing each of these ways to make them personal and ministerial development of your mentees a top priority in ministry, right? So we're looking at develop a personal, authentic relationship with them, invest time in the relationship. Do you pray for them? Are you honest and coherent in your model and guide for them? Do you accompany them spiritually? Have you created small groups to develop leaders to meet with them regularly over a particular time? So as we wrap up session 1, what question or comments do you have about the steps outlined in the mentoring pathway? We do the steps of this pathway line up with what you are already doing, right? And is there any fresh perspective or difference that you have come across? And in the chat, I want you to write down what one thing you want to remember from this session, right? Just go ahead and feel free to just put it in the chat. What is the one thing that you want to remember from this session? The beauty with the manual is that we don't have to spend all the time now to try and fill everything, right? Because I don't want you to rush it. So given the fact that you have it, some of those questions you can, in your own time, take your time, think through it, pray through it, and honestly answer it as you make your assessment. But for now, I just want us to put in the chat, what one thing do you want to remember from this session that we have just completed? All right, prioritizing ministerial development of mentee, pray for God's guidance. Thank you. Come on, let's keep them going. Be a model for what we seek. It's important to have a clear pathway. Putting person's position just for the sake of filling the post can be detrimental. Right? Following mentorship pathway. Right. All right. So as we continue to put in the chat, I think we'll know at our first break, Rev. We're at our first break. So, Rev Ryan, could you just tell us how long should we go for this break?
Okay, thank you, Pastor. We've had a very good session so far. I know we would have all been learned quite a lot with the mentorship pathway. So we would like to take a 15-minute break, and we should be starting back. It's 10:42 here in Trinidad and Tobago. So we should be back in 15 minutes sharp. We're gonna have some music in the background, and Pastor Calvin, you're doing a remarkable job. And we will be back to hear you finish up the next session.
Okay.
All right. So everyone, we'll be back in 15 minutes.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. I trust that during the break that we get up and we move, right? Oh Lord. Stacey never move at all. Stacey never move. She in the chair since we get the break. So guess what? I'm going to invite everybody to stand to your feet. Everybody just stand. We need a change, right? I'll be sitting because I'm giving the instructions. All right, so everybody stand, stretch. It's good to change our position. Come on, Stacey. Up, get up, stand to your feet. Stretch up, all right, over to the side. All right, you want to get that blood flowing. Nice. All right. So we're going into the second section. You can see the second section of our program. So in this part, in this section, we'll be looking at managing expectation in the mentoring relationship, right? And managing our expectation for persons we are mentoring is one of the most challenging thing for a mentor, right? We make a conscious investment in our time, energy, with the hope of seeing positive results, right? So during this second session, we will consider the different ways Jesus related to 5 individuals as a result of the relationship he formed with them. Right? So to kickstart this session, right, we will be watching a video, right, about mentoring between generations. And I want us to notice how Grant Skeldon uses Jesus' work with his disciple as a guide for the expectations we should have when we mentor others. All right. So we're gonna watch the video, and as we watch, like I said, we're gonna look, just observe, look how the author, uses Jesus' work to guide the expectation that we should have, right? So the video is a simple way how to disciple millennials. And after we watch the video, we will be going back into our small groups where we will spend 10 minutes, right? We will spend 10 minutes in our groups to discuss what let's say 15 minutes, sorry. We go in our groups of 15 minutes and we will discuss what the video is about. All right. So tech personnel, take us away.
What's the time assignment, Pastor Walsh?
15 minutes, Andy.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we are going to put you in new groups at this point in time. Just a little bit of technical issues, but we are children of God, so we could overcome anything in the Lord. So you might see some new people, but that's good. It's always great to meet new people. I'm going to start the group right now. If you have any technical difficulties, we'll be around to help you shortly. Do have a good time.
Please repeat the question that we're going to be doing, please.
Sure. Pastor Walsh?
All right, so what we're doing, as you watch a video about mentoring, right, I want you to notice how Grant Skeldon, he uses Jesus' work with his disciples as a guide for the expectations we should have when we mentor others. So that's the line in which we'll be having our discussion.
Great, thank you. Gonna start the group right now. Have fun.
All right. I know we're enjoying those sessions, but when we're having fun, the time go back so quickly, right? When you're having fun, the time just fly. But the discussion was very good in the group, and as we listened, and it was amazing. Even though we all watched the same video, persons got different things from it. So when we shared our ideas, we were able now to see what other persons saw that we weren't able to pick up, and that's one of the beauty about sharing in groups. So as we continue, we're looking now at Jesus' relationships and their results, right? And one of the most difficult things in mentoring is managing our expectations of other persons, right? This is especially true when the relationship is initiated by the person doing the mentoring, right? And in the parable of the sower, Jesus advises us that there is no guarantee that when we are doing kingdom work with people, right? There's no guarantee when we're doing kingdom work with people, right? when we pay close attention to his relationship and to the result of him mentoring people towards leadership and responsibility, we can draw valuable insights, right, as to how we face a wide variety of people that we're going to encounter. So with Jesus' life, it gives us an insight to say, oh, you're going to face this type of people, you're going to face that type of people. But we are able to draw from what he did as we seek to mentor these people, right? So we're going back into our manual again, and you're going to turn to page 8, right? And what you're going to do, you're going to write below, right, each person, right, the letter, the number, which. So what you have the character. So in one column, you'll see the characters, which the young rich ruler, the Samaritan woman, Peter, John, Judas. And then in the other column, you will have Jesus's response, how Jesus responded, right? And then in the next column, you will have the result that we got. All right. So we're going to walk through this together. All right. So everybody there? So the first one, the young rich ruler. What was Jesus' response to this young rich ruler? Anybody?
Let him walk away.
Right. Jesus let him walk away.
To give the justice.
And what was the response?
None that we know of.
None that we know of. So that would be C5.
C5, yes.
Right. And the Samaritan woman would be what?
D3.
D3, very good. Wow. D3. So he confronted her with sin, right? And what happened? What was the result? She became what? A great evangelist, right? When we look at Peter now, what was Jesus' response?
A2.
The Jimbo to have his natural strength shown up as insufficient. And what was the result? Natural leadership, strength, our purified, and it became our pillar to the strength. And John?
E1.
E1.
Right. Made himself feel loved and kept him close by, right? And we saw the result. He became what? The second most prolific writer of the New Testament, right? Mentor and continual encouragement of the early church. And then Judas, what about Judas?
B4.
B4. He continued to give him opportunity despite his treachery and cold heart. And the result was what? Betrayal. So, as we look at these persons, there are some dangers to avoid. So we're going to go back. So we can just backtrack the slides. We're going back to the young rich ruler, right? And as we start, when I started out, we talk about when you being the mentor, when you initiate the relationship, you know, it can be disheartening sometimes when we see the choices that people make. And I can tell you, I know how it feels because working with young men, working with young people over the years, trying to help them make wise, conscious decisions. And when you see some of them, how they wasted their lives, it's very disheartening. But we have to keep in mind that as a mentor, we do not have any control over the final result or over the choices that people made. And we look at it with Jesus' example. So when the young rich ruler came and he said, Master, but me do everything. Me obey, me follow the laws, me follow the rules. And Jesus said, sell what you have, give to the poor. This young man walked away sad. So one of the dangers that we need to avoid as mentor is don't allow yourself to feel responsible for other person's choice. Don't allow yourself to feel, don't put yourself on a guilt trip to say, oh, if I've done this, no. persons make choice. And that's one of the things that God gave us, which sometimes I wonder if God sometimes regret it, that he gave men free will, right? So as mentor, we have no control over the choices of people, right? To avoid that danger. When we look on the Samaritan woman, a danger to avoid from her situation and story is false assumption, right? Avoid false assumption, right? For example, that don't look at people and say, oh, I don't think you are worthy enough to even be here. And as a church, sometimes we are guilty of it. We look at people and we stigmatize them. And then we remember, you know, when we go back to the Bible, when Samuel went to Adonai, David, when the big brother come, Samuel thought he was the one. And Jesus said, hey, God, the Lord said, no, don't look at the outward appearance. Don't make the looks fool you. Men look at that. What I look at is the heart, right? So let us not use false assumption and try to say, oh, this is, no. With fishermen, when fishermen go to fish, as they go fishing, if you notice when they throw the net, and fishermen don't fish in shallow water, because when we fish in shallow water, you see what's going into the net, right? So you can pick, choose, and refuse, and fish don't swim in shallow water. So you have to go into the deep. And when we go into the deep and we lower that net and come up, you are not sure what's going to come up in the net. All kind of things going to come up. So it means that we have to be prepared. Don't use false assumption. Avoid it, right? And don't let people feel as if they are victims. Don't do it. Avoid it. Because when Jesus went to this woman, Jesus didn't make she feel like she's a victim. Jesus didn't do it. Right? She was looking for the physical water, but Jesus had something better for her. Right? So let us not cause persons to feel as if they are victims. And if I could backchat a little with the danger to avoid feeling responsible for other person's choice, it came back to me that don't allow yourself to feel as if you're a failure. Even if you have been committed to the person for 10, 15, 20 years, you have been working with them, and at the end of the day, they make a bad choice. You are not a failure. Remember, we don't have control over what people choose. All right? To Peter now, where he was allowed to be sifted by Satan, right? One of the things that we have to understand, the danger to avoid is letting people lead out of untransformed natural strength, right? Peter was smart, he was intellectual, all of that. But you see, when we allow people to lead out of untransformed natural strength, is that we are setting them up, because sometimes these people are still filled with pride. They are not spiritually mature. So what you're going to find is that they're going to lead in their own strength, in their own everything, right? So avoid that danger, letting people lead out of untransformed natural strength, right? With John, right? With John, one of the danger that we need to avoid is expecting quick results. Not because you start mentoring to them means that you're going to see results next week. No, it doesn't always happen like that, right? And it varies from mentor to mentor. It depends on the individual you are mentoring, right? So avoid thinking that because you start mentoring, the results are going to be quick. No, it doesn't happen like that all the time. All right? And when we move on now to Judas, the danger to avoid is evaluating our success by positive impact and result. Evaluating our success by positive impact and result. And this one can be very debatable, because one would say, no, but you knew if you're successful, you knew if you're doing something by the results. And for those of you into sports, you will realize that the success of a coach is determined by the amount of matches he wins. Not saying that he's not doing a good job, but if the results are not putting 3 points on the board every time you play, then the probability exists that you will be fired, right? So avoid evaluating success by just positive impact and results. Because like I said, the final choice of an individual is not in our control. We could do everything that is right, right? We could do everything right. So that, oh, all right, somebody posted in the chat, I'm not seeing how this relates to Judas. Could you explain some more? All right, so when we look at Judas, it says Jesus continued to give him opportunity despite his treachery and cold heart, right? So we saw Jesus was giving Judas opportunity. Then Judas in the end betrayed Jesus, right? So the end result from Judas was betrayal, right? So what we're saying here is that if Jesus was to evaluate his success by just the positive impact and results, for example, with Judas, in the end, we know what Jesus did. Judas went and he hung himself eventually. So would we say that Jesus have failed because Judas ended up hanging himself? I don't know if that is making more sense to you. So what we're saying is that if you're using just the success of individuals to say, yes, I've been a good mentor, then that's a danger that we're setting up ourselves with. Because with Judas's example, we could not say that Jesus failed in mentoring because opportunities were given. You understand? The opportunities were given. And so with us, we give persons opportunity, we allow them to do the right thing and we give them chance. But at the end of the day, their choice is not, we don't have control over that, right? And we can't use that failure to say we have failed as a mentor. So our success or evaluation can't just be based on all the success that we have alone, right? Right. So when most right, so what we're gonna do again, we're gonna make a list. What I want us to do, we're gonna make a list of the lessons we could learn from the examples of Jesus' relationship we have just considered, right? We're going to make a list of the examples of Jesus with the relationship that we have just considered. So we're going to discuss what advice you would give to people you train so that they can imitate Christ in their mentoring towards ministry leadership, right? We're going to discuss considering what you have seen in Jesus' work of mentoring people towards ministry and leadership, and how you would picture and describe the success and the impact of this mentoring initiative. So we're going to go back into small groups again, and we are going to discuss what we have just covered as it relates to Jesus. So we're going to discuss what advice that you will give to the people you train so they can imitate Christ in their mentoring towards ministry leadership, and also considering what you have seen in Jesus' work of mentoring people towards ministry leadership. How would you picture and describe the success of Impact Mentoring Initiative? All right? So we're going to go into our groups again. And well, Andy?
How much time do you need in the groups?
All right. Let me, what time now? Let me take 20 minutes for this one.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. Very similar groups, not much change, hopefully. I'm going to start it right now. Again, if you have any technical difficulties, I'll be around to help you out.
All right, welcome back. When I like when I come from the breakout room and I see the faces, you know, I know that you're enjoying the session. Yes, I see the all smile. All right, so what we're going to do quickly, I want to give six groups to share a lesson that they have identified, right? And notice I say one lesson.
Yes,
So I want six groups to share one lesson that they have identified when they were in their breakout room. But also what I want you to do, if you are going to share and you hear somebody share this lesson already, then we don't need to repeat it, all right? Because at the end, we want to capture 6 different lessons that we would have come out with. All right, so I now give the opportunity for 6 groups to share one lesson that they have identified.
All right, well, in my group, one of the lessons we learned is that this is a journey. Jesus meet people at their place, not necessarily, you know, at his place. That's one of the lessons we learned.
All right, thank you. Next.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, go ahead, listen.
All right. Lessons learned. We discussed Judas and what are the dangers to avoid when you are dealing with the Judases that we may come in contact with. And one of the things was said is that Jesus did not show any remorse. He washed Judas' feet. And washing our enemies' feet is a great example, not in that same process, but it's a great example to treat our enemies with respect, even though he said, let the Holy Spirit do the work for us. Forgive nevertheless. So just as Jesus forgave those who even put him on the cross, that is what we have to do. We have to make sure that we don't hold people in our minds and let the Holy Spirit do the work for us.
All right, thank you. Next.
Hi, good day.
Hello.
Good day. Go ahead, Trina.
Hi, one of the lessons we've learned is to be patient, don't be judgmental, like towards our mentees, whoever we're maintaining, understanding, you know, our mentorship role to them, and whatever decision the mentee makes, we don't take the onus on ourselves to blame ourselves.
All right, thank you. Kamani, you were going to share? Ellie?
Yes, please. So one of the lessons that we learned is that Jesus allowed his mentees to be themselves. Even though he saw the potential in each one of them, he did not force what he saw. He just allowed them the freedom to make the decisions and to make the mistakes and to make the choices that they needed to make or wanted to make. He didn't force anything.
All right, thank you. All right, so that's 4. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to take a next question, right? So I want 4 different responses to this one. How would you picture and describe the success of the Impact Mentoring Initiative? How would you picture and describe the success of the mentoring initiative? Can I get some response to that question?
I think yes, I think for me, the impact mentorship and me really discerning the the impact of it is one thing is coming out clearly, and that is it presents to us a model that we can follow, and it's a biblical and Christ-centered model. And I'm very passionate about patterns and building after patterns. And so I think that what we see here is something that we can replicate. It is very reproducible. And so I believe that it's a great thing that will bring about a significant difference in our church.
Yeah, thank you. So true.
Calvin, I want to agree with Rev Davey. And I know you said don't repeat if you heard somebody else repeat it, and not so much repeating it, but just building on it from the standpoint that as one of the district leaders who are being mentored in the first phase of the Mentoring Impact Program, and we now have to come and reproduce like yourself, I'm looking at the success. Just what Rev Daly said, the pattern is that now we sit under the regional leaders and some global leaders, they pour into us. We come 2 weeks after and we pour into a lot of local leaders who we anticipate, and from some of the stories we heard in the breakout groups, a lot of them are already pouring into other persons. Some people may be challenged due to COVID and stuff like that. But in the main and in the large part, it's successful from the standpoint that you're actually hearing more intentional Christ-like patterns to pour into other persons who will now be developed to continue the process. Yeah?
Yeah, so true. Janelle, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I think one of the ways we can look forward to success in this program too is by the development of structured and sustainable mentorship programs in each church.
Very good. You can take one more.
If we continue to follow what we are learning here, we can see our nations being transformed to being Christ-like images, from communities to nations. If we put into practice what we are learning here from just our local churches, impacting our people in our local churches and communities, I can see nations being transformed through this mentorship program.
All right. So if you turn to your manual, right, in turn to mentoring pathway, consider and make notes to remember your thoughts, right? What lesson from Jesus' work of mentoring people do you find particularly helpful in regarding of any specific situation or people you are mentoring? What lesson from Jesus' work of mentoring people do you find particularly helpful regarding any of the specific situations, right, of people you are mentoring? So what I'm going to do is, as we wrap up and we come to a close, right, there is a follow-up assignment there that we can do. And what I like about this session is that it's very interactive, it's very practical, right? And all of you would have had a copy, or have in your possession a copy of the manual, right? The participant manual. So what I want you to do, I want you to go through the manual in your own time, right? You have a follow-up assignment that I want you to do, right? Do the next steps, write them down, personalizing, and in monitoring the mentoring pathway, right? Note the reference of the Bible passage show that Jesus doing, right? So it's there, it's right there in your manual. It's on pages 10 and 9. It starts at page 9 and goes through to page 10. So I want you to, in your own time, I want you to go through the manual, try and fill out all the blank space, do the assignment. But as I said, remember, it's very important that we assess. It's very important that we look, you know, where we are going. Am I achieving the set goals, right? So when we work through these assignments that we have, it helps us to see if we are on the right path, right? So they are there as a guide to help. Just like when we go to school, when the teacher gives an assignment, and when you bring back the assignment, the teacher says, okay, you have grasped the concept. of what the lesson is about. So it's very important that we do the assignment, right? Before we close, we normally close, we give you opportunity with a comment or a question. But as we close, I just want to give my closing remarks as we went through today, right? There are some things that we have discovered, right? And one of the things that we discover is that the church does not need seat warmers, right? But it needs leaders who reflect the image of Christ, who have the skills to lead well, right? So the church doesn't need seat warmers, but leaders who reflect the image of Christ and who have the skills to lead well. The second thing that we have discovered is that the strategy that Jesus used in mentorship and his results. So we discover this is how Jesus did his thing, and this is how he achieved his results, right? We also discover that in the mentorship process, right, we need to have clear expectation of our mentees. We need to have clear expectation of our mentees. And also we discover that the culture of mentorship in the region requires investment of time, skills, maturity, and mentors who are models for the next generation. And we also today discover dangers to avoid as mentors, right? Due to false expectations, right? So remember, as we go, empower, delegate responsibility gradually and progressively. Accompany your mentor spiritually, right, on the path of mentorship, right? So accompany your mentee spiritually on the path of mentorship. Invest in them for your full potential with love. Invest in them your full potential with love, right? And so, as you recruit new generations of leaders and you teach them the new culture of leading, the Mesoamerican region will grow, all right? And challenge them to be authentic, prayerful leaders that use the tools available to them so that they can intentionally invest in young people and engage them in the new culture of mentorship. So I thank you for allowing me to be in your space today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And now is the time where if you have any final comment or question, now is the time to do so. So if there's no comment or any question, I'll hand over to our
One comment.
moderator.
I have one
Go ahead,
comment.
sis.
I just want to say that I really enjoyed today's session. It has really blessed me. It has challenged me, and you did an awesome job, Pastor Walsh.
Thank you, Sister Dolly. God be praised.
I want to endorse that. I think, Pastor, you did a fantastic job. You brought it home because this session seemed to align with your job as a coach, and you really coach us through today. I think you even did it a little better than the original people, but that is to become too much ambitious, but you did well. And I am really proud of this program, because one of the things that it is doing and what it has done for me, it has also affected my own personal devotional life. It has helped me to return to my journaling, especially the second session. And I think if I, as a mentor, is affected, it will trickle down to my mentees. So I am blessed.
I want to say thank you for the comments, trying not to get swell-headed, but God be praised, I was very nervous, but give God thanks for the many persons who would have mentored me throughout even my time in CNC. Reverend Ryan is here, my lecturer. Paul Bonzi, Reverend Victor George himself was there. All the persons you know, Sister Velma and her husband who opened the door. So all of you who are here would have contributed to my development, my own district, Jamaica East, you know. And I thank you for the confidence in me to allow me to really share with you. And when I hear Pastor George talk, I was laughing because I was saying, "Hey boy, this thing really fit in with this coaching thing." So I think that was what helped me because I was able to relate from my own personal experience and life. So I thank you all.
And I want to publicly thank you to Pastor Walsh for having filled in for Sister Gillian at such short notice. You were so flexible. And I am really happy for that. We just thank the Lord for you, as you continue in your ministry.
Over to our moderator, I don't know if Reverend William, if you are the one closing up.
Okay, our moderator is Pastor Baburam, but Pastor Walsh, you did a phenomenal job. And you really brought home the material in a very simple, teachable form. And the content was very rich. We appreciate you and for allowing the Lord to use you. Very deep session. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great young leader you are. Thank you. Thank you, Jamaica East, for producing such a phenomenal leader as Pastor Walsh. God bless you and your district and your district superintendent. So we want to ask Pastor Baburam to close us in prayer. I don't have the program in front of me. We just want to encourage you. We have tried to tailor the program to finish within 3 hours. And we're just trying to stimulate your engagement. So we encourage you. Let's just continue on the path. We've had a good 5 sessions, and we are going to finish all the sessions, and you will get your diploma. All right. So Pastor Baburam, over to you.
Good day again. Well, Reverend Ryan Williams did the closing remarks. So again, not to be redundant, but Pastor Walsh, excellent job. I really enjoyed the session, and I want to strongly endorse. I did the original session as well, and I enjoyed this session a little more. Not to get too full-headed, but I once said, God deserves the perfume, but we can enjoy the aroma. So it's okay to enjoy the aroma sometimes. God bless. Closing prayer with us, we have Reverend Brian Doyley, hope I pronounced that properly. Reverend Brian Doyley from Jamaica. You are scheduled to close in prayer, so I invite you at this time to close us in prayer.
Let's pray. Loving God, we just give you thanks for an awesome time in your presence. We thank you for the way you have challenged us. We thank you for the way you have taught us. We thank you, Lord, the way. Now, Lord, the responsibility is ours to go and implement what we have learned. We thank you for the presenters. We thank you for the organizers. And we pray your continued blessing on all of us. We also give you thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Right, God bless you. You all are dismissed. Looking excited for the next session. I'm really enjoying this. God bless. Have a safe one. Be safe.